Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show to talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about American Born Chinese, Season 1, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, Jin's not 100% sure of everything that went down. It seems like yesterday was real, and he ends up running into Wei Chen, and it's like, no, that all did happen. My dad, he's in heaven, which that kind of explains a lot of stuff. It should have been clear, because I was like, oh, it's a different world. It never crossed my mind. Once again, I'm not well versed in Chinese mythology, so I didn't even cross my mind like, oh, that's supposed to be heaven. But I should have been able to equate certain things, like take, for example, Death Note. Death Note, it's like, oh, what did Ryuk do? He dropped his Death Note into the human world. The Shinigami world is kind of almost in that parallel of a heaven. You know, it's that afterlife world. So it's like, right, you were able to jump, like, and the reason why I said I should piece that together, because there's the vortex, the swirling circle in the sky of like all the clouds, and there's like a swirl to it. That's the connection between heaven and earth. So I'm like, I should have pieced that together. But nevertheless, it's like, yeah, my dad's down of the Monkey King, and fact of the matter is, I need your help. He's like, the reason why I knew what my dream was pointing me towards is because the first thing I saw when I came to this world was this, and it's like the stained glass of the school, and it's got the cranes, and it's like, and I guess the first person he interacted with was Jin. So for him, it's like, right, I think for him, like, that was all he needed. But in the grand scheme of things, because even Guan Yin asked later, is he really the one that's going to lead you, or are you just looking for a friend? And I think it is a little bit of both. Because we have no idea what Wei Chen's life in heaven is really like. I mean, who knows? I mean, his dad looks at him a certain way. I mean, we know his dad doesn't have the best opinion of him right now. To be fair, that's post him stealing the staff and everything, but we don't know what their relationship was really like beforehand. It's probably a thing of my dad has always never really listened to me. I was always in his shadow, and maybe Wei Chen wanted to kind of be outside of his father's shadow. Like here, he doesn't have to be under his father's shadow. He gets to kind of be free and kind of do what he wants, kind of explore and get to see this world in a way that he never really got to. He got to have fun. Because who knows? There's probably no one around his same age. I mean, granted, we don't know how old that is, because Wukong is like 40,000 years old or whatever at the very least. So, you know, there's no telling how old Wei Xian is. I thought it was going to be a little more tumultuous, the whole situation with when Wei Chen asked Jin to come over and he doesn't come over. I thought that was going to turn into a more tumultuous thing, but I think it's like Wei Chen doesn't really know the meaning of the word being ditched, you know, and it is kind of sad that like, oh, Wei Chen's like, hey, I need your help with this. Can you come over to my guardians? I was like, well, I thought you were living with your aunt. It's like, well, she's not really my aunt. She's, you know, she's a goddess and everything. Didn't really go into that, but yeah. Didn't even mention her being a goddess, but just saying like, right, we're not related. But it's like Jin, I mean, he was going to go to this party he was invited to. He mainly went because it's like, right, we're supposed to be working together getting together as a team, but also like, hey, I want to make sure things are good between me and Travis. I thought that was going to be another point of contention. I was like, oh man, Travis is going to give him a hard time. It's like, no, because Travis doesn't know that the reason why Jin went so hard into pain is because he thought Travis was responsible for the video. We now know it was Greg. So I think it's interesting. Like, I'm still got that shred of doubt in my head where I'm like, Travis is probably going to, like, once again, it's like some of those people on that team are probably going to be a lot more douchey than you kind of expect. It's like, oh, we're supposed to be a unit. We're supposed to be a team, but it might be not so kosher. Because I think this was like some of the like, because notice one of the people wasn't there. There was no Greg. So I think that kind of speaks volume. So it's like, yeah, like these are the upperclassmen, but I mean, I don't even know if Jin and them are in like Jin, Travis, and his other buddies, like are they all in the same grade or like they are grade? Because I think Greg's a senior, but I don't know if Jin's buddies are. I think he's a freshman, I believe. He's a freshman. I don't know if they're like sophomores or juniors or something like that, or what. I would assume they're like sophomores or juniors. So maybe that's just like, yeah, like the seniors don't come, or not unless Greg's the only senior. You know, you see what I mean? I don't know. I'm getting so caught up in it, but I think it's interesting that Greg isn't there because we haven't really had Jen and Greg since everything last episode in the same scene together, so we don't know like what that's like. But like Travis could be playing it cool, being like, "Oh yeah, no, we're good, buddy," and then I'm gonna screw you over. I kept expecting it this episode, but it didn't happen. So we'll see if that ends up being a point of contention in the future. But then there's that whole situation of like, hey, what was it? The chump run? That whole situation, which I thought was like, hey, dress up in something stupid. The stupider, the better. And he ends up being in a Pikachu onesie, which some people will be like, you say stupider. I'd say awesome. Because he doesn't want to flex how nerdy he is. Because he should be like, yeah, I was into comics and stuff when I was young. It's like, dude, being a nerd is cool now. Like, you know, like no one's like, oh my god, you're a nerd. Like that's so like anticlimactic. But once again, it's like Jen's kind of caught up in like, hey, I'm kind of cool. I've got friends and stuff, so I'm like not trying to shoot myself in the foot by like bringing up all my nerdy stuff. Even though it's like I'll save my nerdy stuff with my nerdy friend Anuj, and then I'll keep all this cool stuff with like the soccer team or something like that. You know, so I think that's his thought process, kind of like compartmentalizing that capacity. And although while like Jin is doing the chomp run, I love that Guan Yin is putting together furniture. She's like, I've done this, I've done that. There's no way this furniture from Sweden is going to outdo me. And it's like, oh, you've come into like the whole, that's the stereotype of just like IKEA furniture is so hard to put together or something like that. You know, that's kind of the joke and everything. And I love that even a goddess struggles with it. But it's like, nah, coffee table came out well. It's like, did she actually put anything else together, or was it only the coffee table she was meant to put together? Worked out in the end, but I love her in the fight too. She was like, not my coffee table, especially after how long she spent trying to piece that together. I'd skipped over, but I do like at the beginning of the episode, we have Guan Yin and we'll call him talking. Because she's trying to appease him, saying like, right, let your son kind of go on his journey because I'm guiding him like I guided you all those years ago. But it's like, yeah, but my son is a lot more rash. The fact of the matter is he stole that staff. He shouldn't have done that, you know, chasing after some dream like this fourth scroll and stuff like that. So telling his son, saying that his son needs to hurry up and grow up. Also, if confirmed, like I brought it up previous episodes, I was so confused. I'm like, wait, is he the Jade Emperor or not? It's like, no, he's just he's part of the inner circle of the Jade Emperor. It's like, oh, you're kind of like one of his like probably generals. You're probably like a lieutenant general or something like that. Like you're like pretty high ranking. Like I won't go as far as like, hey, you're his right hand guy, but you're one of his like close confidant type of thing. So he was actually going to give Wei Chin 1 week to kind of figure things out. It's like, all right, and then like you're going to force him to come home because it's like, right, you took that staff. It's not some plaything. Referencing Mokong, which we met him this episode, the bull. He didn't know why Wei Chin was here, but he'd heard the whispers about, hey, he's here on Earth and he's got the staff for whatever reason. It's not till later on that he finds out the reason why, oh, there's a fourth scroll out there. Okay, if I get that, that's going to be the edge I need to shift things. I think it's so interesting because Guan Yin tried to say like, hey, approach this differently. Try and, talk to the Jade Emperor, but for him it's like, no, I've already been down that path of like, we know that like me talking like is not going to work, kind of almost like no matter what I say he's not going to listen. I also think it's interesting, and maybe this dives into some like Chinese lore that I'm not aware of, like what the whole mirror thing was about. Like, does he have like self-esteem issues or something like that, of like I don't know if that's playing into some mythology of like bulls and their reflections or something. I don't know, like, the fact is that she showed him the mirror, and it's just like, oh, it's just the mirror. So I don't know if that's, like I said, that might be some mythology stuff tied to him about having, like, issues. Because what was staring back him in the face was what he really looks like as the bull. So he does transform in their fight, but I do love that she's, like, so easily outclasses him. Yeah, you're a warrior. She's a literal goddess. It feels like the scales are kind of, like, severely, and, like, the pendulum kind of severely swings in her favor of, like, yeah, she can easily outclass everybody. So, but her point isn't really to fight them. It's just like, my point is to kind of be the goddess I am and just kind of guide. I'm not here to really fight. That's not really my thing. So I doubt she's always going to step in. It's because it's like, right, the fight's everyone else's. It's not hers. I'll do my part as a guide. But other than that, And it's such a shame too. She has to clean up the apartment. It was so clean, and even the broken mirror thing, which I'm like, I immediately go like, well, that seems like that's kind of a bad omen. I don't know, because I don't remember where the 7 years bad luck broken mirror originates from. So looking into it a little bit, just the tiniest bit, it seems like that stems from Roman lore. I don't know if that kind of applies the same way in like Chinese lore. Like maybe that's applicable. Maybe it doesn't have the 7 years bad luck connotation, but maybe it's still just a kind of a bad omen. Maybe it's just kind of like oh man, he broke the mirror, that sucks. Maybe that's all it is for Guan Yin, but I don't know. I'm reading into it like, oh, that's a bad omen. Like I said, whether that's the 7 years association or not, either way. But circling back a little bit to that fight with Wukong, I'm curious, is that why she sent Wei Chen away? It's like, yeah, it is interesting that you would send him away. I guess she felt something in the air, like, okay, something's coming, someone's coming, she just didn't know when. And so maybe she was just legitimately sending him on his way of like, you believe this kid to be your guide, then go find him. Maybe he's lost. But it felt like now when you add in a context of the fight with the bull, it feels like that was 100% on purpose. You didn't, because if, Wei Chen was around, he would have gotten to Wei Chen. And, well, it's not like Wei Chen had a staff on him either. So, because I was about to say, he must have, he did have the staff on him. I mean, because when he shows up later on, I know he pulled it out of his ear, but I just thought about that. I was like, right, the staff was inside the toy, so when Jin got knocked out last episode and the toy was in his hand, he probably ended up taking the staff and putting it in his ear, because I was like, I don't think he knows where Jin lives. I don't think he does. So he probably just ended up, not unless he can track the staff, but I'm like, that would have been a whole thing in itself. So it probably was a thing of, yeah, he probably picked it up last episode and took it out the toy model and just stuffed it in his ear, and it's been with him since last episode, maybe. I mean, it is this complicated thing where Wei Chen and Jin did kind of get closer. It's like, hey, we like had fun with the whole toilet papering that statue, and it's like, right, I'll help you find whatever it is you're looking for, the fourth scroll, I'll help you because you helped me out. Thanks, bud. And it's like, I think for Wei Chen, he was happy because it's like, hey, like he'll help me, but also like, hey, like we're closer now. But he left himself open for Mokong to end up stealing the staff, and now he knows about the fourth scroll. I'm curious about the mirror thing, what that was about, like why he took a piece of the mirror and combined it with the staff. I don't know if that, because it was something touched by Guan Yin, it gave it special properties. I guess it was meant to maybe give him something tied to this world. I don't know what, like it fused with the staff, but I just don't know what the reason for that. Because maybe he can't fully utilize the staff, but like maybe by taking that, he kind of bonds him and the staff together, because maybe under normal circumstances it wouldn't fully operate for him, but now it will. I don't know. And because of that, word got out about the staff, and now his dad came and is planning on taking him home. I wondered if Guan Yin was going to, like, because she's like, oh, you ordered too much food or whatever. I was like, is there something secretly in that bag? It feels like that was kind of like no, I'm actually going to still help you, but I'm going to be stuck here cleaning up the rest of this house because it's trash. As for Jin and his whole chump run, that all went down spectacularly. It worked out. He's the one that walked away with like those golden kilts and not kilts, golden cleats, because I could not remember the word cleats. Jeez. But one thing that surprised me is, well, because the whole point was like, hey, let's use everything we learned about you newbies on the team and use it against you in the chump run. I'm surprised the Amber thing didn't come up. I guess it's like, right, they're going to chastise him about it, make fun of him about it, but it's like, we're not going to use that against you because Amber already is dating someone, I think. And it's like, right, we're not going to put you in that awkward position, which would have been the ultimate, like, F you from, like, Travis. That's why I'm like, oh, maybe it is legitimately good between them, because he could have screwed him over in so many regards. But, I don't know. Once again, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, there's that nagging part of my brain, like, nah, like, Travis is definitely going to be seeking his revenge, whatever that manifests itself as. So So we have that side of things. We also had the interesting development for Jin's family, where specifically his mom, she is getting like this acupuncture and stuff like that, and she's getting these herbal stuff. But the business, I love that the granddaughter is like, yeah, I make this type of music, which I'm like, I heard all those genres she was mentioning. I was like, the only one I recognized was like new metal. New metal was like the only one. And she's like, no, it's none of those. It's kind of a mixture and everything. But I love it. It's like, it's like, yeah, of course that's all going to go over Jin's mom's head. But she bought a whole bunch of the jars of this herbal stuff because the shop is going under because they've been, it's like, right, the rates are going up and they're getting less and less customers. Jin's mom ended up selling it at church and ended up making a nice pretty penny and ended up bringing it back to give to the store. Because it's like, right, this store has helped her out a lot, and it's like, right, I want to pay back. And now it's like, oh, she's going to help sell it. There's plenty of it at the store. And I guess, it was interesting too, especially because it's like, right, the acupuncture, there was the whole thing about like, right, the third eye and everything. And now she ends up saying like, oh, my headache's going. Because I think she found something. Because I think it's just like, right, the church is kind of like the main thing she had. But I think for her, it's like, hey, this is something I can do, a project of mine, and I can do some good in the process. I don't know whether it's going to be like, I'm going to take some of that money off the side and kind of do it for myself so that we'll have some spending money along with Simon's job. I don't know if that's 100% of where that's going to go, but it does seem like she's going to be giving that her all, and how that develops is definitely going to be interesting. But it's going to be interesting in general to see where all this ends up taking us, especially when Jin goes back to school and tries to find Wei Chen. Maybe Guan Yin will end up tracking him down. I mean, she might be able to sense something, because I'm like, I don't know, she wouldn't know what Jin looks like because they were never introduced. Not because I'm like, he doesn't know where Wei Chen lives, so not unless he ends up getting his address and then ends up running into Guan Yin, and she explains like, yeah, he was sent back home. Like I said, not unless she sent him home with a care package to help him get away. Like I said, some interesting developments. I'm curious to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good